Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide, and in today's video it's the turn to check out the Supernote and a look back at the 2023 for the Supernote platform. But like in the previous videos for the Remarkable and the Books platforms, in this video we're going to be first addressing the updates that I didn't cover on My Deep Guide yet. And those are the updates 2.11 that came out on the Supernote back in September, and the upcoming update 2.12, which is still currently in beta, but its release, maybe it's going to happen now in December or maybe early January, but it's something that definitely falls into the 2023 category, so it's definitely worth checking out. Before we do, if you do like the work that I do, please do like and subscribe to the channel because it helps the channel grow, and it's already 52,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Also, if you do like the work that I do and you would like to support it further, I invite you to check out the mydeepguide.com/shop, where you can find the MDO, My Daily Organizer, which is a hyperlinked PDF file that helps you organize your yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily organizing or journaling needs. And you can also find the MMP, which is My Deep Guide Meeting Planner, which is again hyperlinked PDF file that helps you centralize, organize, and simplify all of your meeting planning needs. And the best thing about it is these things are not apps, they're hyperlinked, carefully designed hyperlinked PDF documents, which means that they work pretty much on anything that supports a hyperlinked PDF file and handwriting annotations. If you would like to learn a little bit more about these products, check out the video playlist links down in the description below to see what's it like and if these are products for you or not. And now let's check out the updates 2.11 and 2.12 on the Supernote, and then take a look back at what was 2023 like for the Supernote as a platform. Alright, so let's start with the features of the update 2.11 first. The big adjustment is with how the highlighting works now. So the highlighting works pretty much exactly the same as it was before, but you now have only one color. So you do not have anymore the option of choosing the green, pink, or blue. The only color here is yellow. And they explain the reason for the change. This is their quote: due to the characteristics of the e-ink devices and the fact that the majority of users tend to highlight text on these devices, excessive color selection may not be as effective in making differentiation obvious. We have been working hard to improve the ease of use and stability of our products. To achieve this, we have chosen to reduce the selection of highlight colors. Our aim is to provide users with an excellent text display experience that is both smooth and reliable. Okay, but in all honesty, I don't get it. There is a case to be made for having different colors for highlights, meaning I, and I'm pretty sure some other people as well, have their own color legend and color coding of what each type of highlighting color means. I really don't get it. It wasn't that complicated. You could just have kept it as a default yellow and then leave the options for the people who wanted to do it, but they didn't, so that's what we got now. Another thing is with the highlighter or text selection, right? So let's say we make this highlight. I can edit the selection or the highlighter by simply tapping on it with the pen, and then I can do these things, but I can't change the selection of it. So maybe the addition of selection handles in this mode would be a helpful thing, because maybe I would like to adjust it so that the selection itself is no longer from here to here, but it's actually there. And that's not something that you can do. So yes, you can use your pen and it's super handy to kind of edit this, but it's still not there. So I think an addition of selection handles would definitely be a nice thing to have. There was also an optimization that the display and switching of numerical keys in the Arabic virtual keyboards has been optimized. And also something that it's in the mail, but I don't use the mailbox on the Supernote, so I can't really show you that. They optimize the display of individual folder names under other folders. As far as fixes goes, again, in Mail, they fixed the issue where certain attachments couldn't be downloaded. In the system, they fixed the issue where the sidebar would occasionally not be opened after notes failed to be upgraded. In the documents, they fixed the issue where highlights couldn't be created in PDFs with a capitalized extension in the file name. Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. And they also, in the digest, they fixed the issue where the eraser gesture wouldn't follow the left-handed mode in digest when the hand dominance was set to left-handed. So yeah, those are the fixes in 2.11. Now onwards to 2.12, which is still in beta. So one of the key things that has been changed in the 2.12, which again, it's still in beta, not officially released, but should be coming out soon, is basically that the synchronization for notebooks, Supernote Cloud no longer supports selective file syncing and has switched to syncing all files by default. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't really know. I kind of liked the option of choosing what I want to synchronize and what I don't want to synchronize, and that way I can manage my privacy and things like that. Maybe I really don't want some of my documents to ever be synchronized. And I get it. I get that this is a really convenient way because now you have auto synchronization, which is kind of great. But maybe what they could do is basically, if you go into notes, what I would like to see is that if I am, for example, here in my notebooks and I long press on one of them, maybe it would be a really good idea to actually add you have the lock and unlock option. Maybe you could have also an option auto sync or auto sync off, or synchronize on or off. And that way, yes, sure, we can have the auto synchronization is on by default, but you still leave the users the ability to actually choose, hey, I don't want this file to ever be synchronized. I want it to be locked and I want it to be private and I don't want it to ever be uploaded anywhere. And that is something that's now removed as an option, as far as I understand, because the synchronization now just simply works automatically, which is extremely handy. Like, it's really, really nice to actually have that, but I don't think that it should be completely exclusive, and there is this easy way of doing it. Yeah, auto sync is off, but give us an option to, as we can lock our notes, give us also an option to choose not to synchronize individual notebooks. And then I think it's going to be a pretty complete solution. They've changed how their landscape mode works. So if you go into an option in the documents or notebooks, you'll see that we no longer have the half-page mode. It's not gone, it's just turned into a system-wide thing, and you just swipe down and you have this one, portrait or landscape. And if I switch to landscape, we get the what used to be a half-page mode, and it works pretty much in the same way, right? And this is another example of what definitely could be improved on the Supernote. It's like if they could implement the A2 refresh mode, so that when you start scrolling, pinch to zoom and things like that, that it automatically switches to that mode while the gesture is on, so that we can have much, much faster screen improvement. And when you actually release, do a refresh to eliminate the ghosting and go back to the default refresh mode. Right now we don't have that, and the responsiveness is quite slow. And there is a way to actually improve this, and that would be an important thing to actually see improved, especially for swiping up and down, and pinch to zoom, and basically page navigation, zooming and navigation around the page. Those things I think would definitely benefit from an intelligent A2 mode implementation. The system-wide landscape actually works for the sidebar as well. So you can go here, and then I can switch to MDO, right? And okay, he needs to update some stuff. But now I don't have to switch individual documents and things from portrait to landscape, etc., etc. It's actually just more of a system-wide thing, and I do really like it, because you switch between, usually when you're working on a note, on a Supernote, for me at least, I'm switching between either notebook and another notebook, document and a notebook, or a document and another document. And this is a really smart implementation, because I just switch to landscape mode if I want, and everything is consistent and it stays that way. And yeah, if I just go to this one, then it's just going to switch over, and yeah, it works. And then swipe down, and there we go. All right, that touch responsiveness could definitely be better. And also, I don't see an option of adjusting the orientation itself, right? So what do I mean? Well, this is a typical example. This is where this device is probably being a little bit confused, that I have a swipe bar here, which is a touch zone, and then I have a swipe zone here as well. So maybe I would like to actually have it oriented this way, so that I can write and do stuff, and that here is my access to the swipe control, etc., so that I have the options and everything. But there isn't a way to adjust or define which way the orientation will be, and that's something that I think would definitely be a welcome thing to have, because it's just a nice thing to give users the control over. However, the biggest new thing of the of this update is there's a new app, and that is an app called Atelier. So if you go to settings and then apps, and then you go to Supernote app store, you will see that we now have another app other than the Kindle, and that one is called Atelier. So once you add it, then you will have it in My Apps, and then you can also customize the sidebar and see, determine where in the sidebar you want the new app to appear. And then you can easily access it by just going here. Now, additional thing that's also interesting is that once you add it, you will see that we have notebook, Word document, and the Atelier new type of file to be created. So if you just access it through here, it will go into the app and will automatically create a new one for you. But additionally, you can also see, for example, the new file name is SPD for these Atelier documents, or you can just tap on it and that it's a new drawing, and then I can say recording, and then it should say there, that's okay. So then I can create it, and it creates a new drawing template. So this one is fairly interesting. I haven't examined everything, but obviously, as the name suggests, it's intended for drawing use. And you can immediately see that from a couple of things. First off, there's a whole new range of pencils. And we have the pencils that are supposed to mark the hardness and softness of real-world graphite pencils. So you have 4H, 2H, HB, 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, for example. And once you actually start using them, they're very, very nice and responsive. Unfortunately, there is no tilt sensitivity here. So that's the first thing that people are probably going to expect from something like this, but no, you do not have the tilt sensitivity in here yet. Thankfully, that's not something that depends on the pen itself. That's contrary to the popular belief. No, that's actually something that is dependent on the device. So hopefully that's something that we might see sometime in the future. Now, that being said, the pens and the sensitivity and the speed of it is ridiculously good. And the pressure sensitivity is just so nice. So these, with the exception of not having the tilt sensitivity, these feel like the best graphite pens that I have used since. So previously, it was remarkable too. Then Scribe implemented theirs, and that one was really, really good, and for me, really the best. And still, as far as the completeness goes, I would go with the Scribe's graphite pen, because it does have tilt support and it feels really good. But these, as far as versatility and as far as just drawing goes, it's just, they feel so immediate. I have no idea what they did, but they really do feel completely immediate, and I'll have to remeasure the speed at which Supernote works, because this is ridiculously fast. This feels a lot faster than what it used to be. So we will see what's what with that. So as far as for little drawings, this is like pretty freaking sweet, and it's very, very inspiring. Now then you have the ink brush and the ink pen. You have hatching, thin, medium, slow, and thick. And the slow one is actually nice, because it creates this little ink blot at the beginning, and it's very nice and kind of easy to use. It goes into fairly thick. Then we have the medium. So this is the medium. I don't think this is pressure sensitive. No, it doesn't seem like it's pressure sensitive. Then we have thin. And I really love this edition with a thin one, for example. So I can just go, so this is my inking. And you get these little imperfections each time you actually start writing, which is really, really nice to see. Then we also have the hatching, which is very, very nice and thin. But honestly, for me, the thin one is the one that I really, really liked the most, and it feels most like the like writing with an ink. So now my canvas is full, right? Oh, okay, I need to flip a page or move, or maybe I can just move to the side and move away from here, and then start drawing here on the side. And again, here the functionality is great because we have this canvas, but as your document becomes, or the drawing becomes a lot bigger and more complex, the navigation of it is going to be less responsive. And as you can see, yes, it does respond, but it's fairly limited. And the size of the canvas, it's not unlimited. As you can see, maybe it's like twice, something like that. So yeah, you have a little bit more of a canvas here. It would be nice to have a control over that, but I didn't see any type of control when I was creating this. The next type of the pen, or the pen that we have, is a marker. This is the regular. Then we have, we have pressure sensitive. Okay, so sensitive. And then we have pixel block, which is not pressure sensitive. And you can see probably there's like a jagged edge here, and I believe this is like a pixel perfect type of thing. So yeah, it's something to keep in mind. It does give you these strong pixel edges on the sides, which is not the case with the other pens. Then we have the spray, and spray we have two options. So this is the first one, and this is let's just change the color here to something a little bit darker, because I was playing around with this before and it's really cool. So if I choose this spray and then I just start spraying here, and it's like Photoshop when you're dealing with more complex brushes, it does get to be delayed, you know, so if you're covering a huge surface, then it's gonna have a delay. At least that's Photoshop on Windows, not on Mac. And the cool thing is that it's additive, so you can make it a little bit darker as you're adding these stripes. And then you have the style 2, which let's move here. And style 2 is also pressure sensitive, and much faster because it's smaller, right? Of course, it can also become a little bit kind of cumbersome, but the cool thing about this is that, yeah, there we go, that I wanted to get it to overflow and then start lagging behind. But the cool thing is that you can change the color here to something like much lighter, and then I can just start adding just small imperfections here in different directions and starting to add a texture to this whole thing. And then you can start shaping things up, almost like smudging it out a little. And then maybe I can add some highlights if I wanted to, so I can go to white, but using this spray, right? So then I can have just some little highlights here if I wanted to, for example. So that, and then you can start actually getting a shape out of this seemingly amorphous mass. It's a very nice artistic tool, and I believe that these are grayscales. And while it's interesting to have the the color code here, maybe it would be useful to know, are these just grayscales or are they actually colors? And if they are, then yeah, maybe to kind of make it, because right now it's kind of confusing, because if it's color, the users know that this is monochromatic. So is this like a color of some sort, or is this just a shade of gray, right? So I think that that part is a little bit not that clearly communicated. So but other than that, it's a fairly impressive tool that allows a lot of freedom, and you get to create some really interesting things very easily. So for example, let's say this is a Jupiter-ish type of thing. So let's make the dark side fully dark as I can get it. Okay, so that's the darkest side, and then I can maybe fade it out a little bit. So let's go 2, and then just arrange it here, and then let's fade it out a bit more. So now we're getting some dithering here, which is not desired when you're doing these things. So maybe they can actually implement some form of dithering, oh, actually it clears up after a while. Okay, so that makes kind of sense. So it's only when the lighter one goes over the darker one before it's fully refreshed. Okay, so that makes sense. So it will refresh at some point, I guess, when we return to this, maybe. And then we can take a little bit of shading here as well, and then just lighten it up even further so that we can have this fully nicer gradient. And let's see if it refreshes. Yes, it does. So as soon as I move, but there's still some kind of non-dithering or dithering going on, non-dithering going on. Yeah, some filtering could go, but this is very nice and abstract, that tool that you can use. And that leads me to the other thing, which is the eraser. So you have regular, soft and thin, which is actually really precise. So unlike the stuff that we've seen on Remarkable, this is what I was expecting an updated eraser to do, so that you can actually just create a small, very precise stuff, and that it actually works properly. So that's what's expected from that. And then you have hard and thin. So this is completely erasing. So you see, soft is half erasing, hard is fully erasing, and that gives you the ability to really add these tiny little additions. And again, the responsiveness is ridiculously fast and really good, and super precise. I mean, this is like super precise. But the one that I really love is soft and thick, because it gives you the option to gradually fade the sides. So if I wanted to just kind of clean up all of this mess that was here, right? So that was my initial stuff. And then I can start cleaning it up. But I can also leave a little bit of this smudginess, which is something that I like, because when you're dealing with real drawing on a real piece of paper, and if you're using chalk, for example, or coal, for example, this reminds me a lot of coal when you're painting with coal. It really does give you that option. Does it remember? Yeah, it does. It gives me the option to keep it a little bit dirty and to keep the edges a little bit unsmooth. And it just, I don't know, for me at least, it's nice to have that option of not having everything super clinical and super, I don't know, whatever. So this is, yeah, I don't know that I can actually do this and produce these results, this something so abstract and organic looking, on Kindle Scribe, on books, or on the Remarkable. And this is pretty impressive for me. Yes, it's and inspiring. I really do find this really inspiring. So let's move on, because you can erase the whole layer, which I'm not going to do. Talking about layers, I believe that you have still 5 layers. You can rename them, right? You can add them, and really cool thing, of course, you can delete them, but you can also merge down. So from one layer you can merge down to another, and then you can merge all of the layers into one layer, so that you can, you know, kind of expand the complexity of your drawing, which is really cool to see. The Marquee selection, we have rectangle, ellipse, and irregular. So for that, I'm just gonna move over here, and the responsiveness is not the best. There we go. So that's, again, I think that A2 would help a lot if we had that option. So for this, I'm going to take a regular marker. So I'm just going to fill out a section here of color. And this is going to be my kind of pool to choose from. So what I'm going to go for here is I can do a rectangle. And the cool thing is that it's snapping. So you can easily create a perfect rectangle if you want it. Size, and that would be this. So I can then just kind of create a copy, move it over here, and then I can, the touch is a little bit intrusive. So in this case, my palm kind of canceled the operation. But yes, so I can create this copy, and now I have a copy of a perfect square of a block of black color. What I can do is we have these arrows here, we have circles, and we have squares. So the squares are for uniform scaling on the corners themselves, right? So each corner is going to be uniform scaling. In the middle of each of the sides, it's going to be non-uniform scaling, symmetrical, right? So this is going to be symmetrical, non-uniform scaling. The circles are rotation around the center. It doesn't matter where you start, and it seems to be like that it snaps on angles so that you can actually easily return it to the neutral position. Well, that sucked again. So again, this was palm rejection interfering, and because I did not confirm the operation of what I've done, it forgotten it, right? So definitely something that needs to be fixed. So we got squares, we got for scaling, we got circles for rotation, we got arrows for tapering, right? So you can taper it left and right, or up and down, sorry, left and right. And these do pretty much the same thing. Let's just select it again. Wait a minute. What, I can't just have a selection? and modify the selection. It's not a lasso tool. That's very strange. So, yeah, I can't just make a selection of this and then do the modifications. I would have to make a copy, move it somewhere, and then modify it. That's very, very counterintuitive. I would also expect this to kind of work with, you know, the selection, but okay. So that's how that works, and you can cut or delete the selection that you want. When you go to the ellipse, it works pretty much in the same way, except that this time you can actually create a circle and do the same thing with it. So I can copy it over, can scale it up. However, when you do scale it up, we get serious pixelization here. And that's something that's not desirable type of behavior, at least in my view. That's not something that I would prefer. And then also we have irregular. So I can maybe draw a little dude here. So maybe a little ducky here. There we go. Or a chick. So that's maybe a chicken. And I can expand it here, but you can see that the selection was optimized and we don't have bevels between the edges. So the selection was simplified into straight lines, right? And it's not really that precise. So there are definitely limitations here, even though this icon represents that maybe I could do something like this and then copy it and move it over. As soon as I do that, you can see that the circle, that the arc that I made, it's not really using beveled there's no Bezier curving here. There's just linear from point to point to point to point to point to point, and that's that. So there are limitations to this, and that's definitely something that you have to be aware of. And that's pretty much it. One of the things is you can go full screen, of course, and everything works. How do you get back from full screen? It's zero intuitiveness, and unless you know, you might be lost. So what you need to do is you need to double tap with your two fingers, and then it will, you know, expose this. So that's how you get back the menu that you want. And of course you have the zooming option, which works a little bit counterintuitive. It's like, okay, so I'm zooming in or zooming out, right? But you can't zoom out. This is a little bit buggy. I can't zoom out back to 100%, and I can't zoom out less than 100%. So if you happen to use the zoom all the way up, you go to 150, and I can't go back past that. However, keep in mind that this is a beta. This is not finished. So I expect that these things are going to be fixed before the final rollout of the app actually, or the update actually goes. But overall, just being able to create something as organic and smooth looking like this in a couple of minutes is pretty freaking sweet. It is also now possible to go into settings, input gestures, and eraser, and the lasso preferences, the two finger hold gesture. Previously it could be used only for the region eraser, but now you can also switch it to be a lasso function as well. So that's pretty cool to have that flexibility. There's also been a change or an update in documents where a single tap to the document number gets you into the document quick navigation, where you can just, you know, go through the document quickly, or flip the pages and then go back into here, or you can return from where you came from to the original page. It is now possible to select which template you want to use when you are creating your new notebooks. Previously we had user manual here, which has now been replaced with support. and that just gives you a QR code or a link so that you can go into website and then check it out. I'm not 100% on this, that now we're being forced to use another device to look up for something, whereas before I would be able to just quickly reference something in the user manual without the need to leave the device or the environment of the Supernote at all. So yeah, it's a change, I get it. Why to remove something that was convenient? Not so sure. And then there's also a list of optimizations and fixes. So what are the things that have been optimized in the notebooks? Reduce the probability of accidentally tapping the page turning button on the page number bar. And then a list of 3 fixes in the notebooks. Fix the issue where some keywords and titles would jump up incorrect targets pages when tapped. Actually never had that occur, but interesting that it was an issue. Also fix the issue where the app would occasionally crash when writing in a real-time recognition notebook, again for notebooks. And again for notebooks, fix the issue where the note export would fail if the PDF templates within it contained links displayed as email addresses. Okay, so for the covering of the updates for the Supernote platform, I'm gonna do it a little bit different than I did it for the Remarkable and the books, for the simple reason that the list of features and everything is so extensive that I have to actually kind of look through that, and I think that it's a good idea that you guys also have the ability to read through this and kind of see it all. So I'm just going to go through it, with a screen recorder here, and I'm not going to be listing all of the fixes because there's like over 24 of fixes throughout the versions. So let's just get going with February 10th of 2023, they released the 2.8.22 version, in which new features that were added is that the overall system supports Google Drive as a synchronization service, so that you can synchronize to the Google Drive and you don't have to use the cloud Supernote. Then we had the added of the screen mirroring function that can be turned on or off in the top menu bar, which is basically your screen casting functionality. Then in the adjustments, we had the deleted page count display underneath the thumbnails pages in overview. And in optimizations, we had when exporting to text or the document, you can now choose to keep the original formatting or reformat and reduce the probability of accidentally triggering the top menu bar when writing at the top of the screen. Then we had a massive update, which was in June with the version 2.9.24, where the added and adjusted things were, we had the added browse and access feature, which allows you to transfer files via the browser. Support using PDF as a template, which was, again, amazing. It's absolutely amazing what they've added there, where you're able to actually use a hyperlinked PDF file, such as an MDO or an MMP, but you can use those complex hyperlinked documents, convert them to a notebook, automatic handwritten recognition notebook or a regular notebook, and then use it as a notebook with those hyperlinks in there. It's absolutely mind-blowing and amazing. So yeah, that is an insane functionality that they added there and just catapulted the usability of Supernote as a platform. Some improvements for the keyboards, where they added virtual German keyboards for including Germany, Belgium, Austria, Luxembourg, and Switzerland, and virtual French keyboards including France and Canada. Then mail optimizations, or added Gmail authorization logging and entry point for Outlook and Hotmail logins. Supported adding folders to quick access, which is excellent. And screen mirroring added a laser pointer for when a pen is hovering over the screen. So if you hold the pen up to about 5 millimeters above the screen, the Supernote screen will, there's going to be a red circle that appears so that you can use it as a presentation device as well when using the screen mirroring or the screen share. Adjusted English, Chinese, and Japanese keyboard layout, increased the number of virtual keyboards one can switch from 3 to 7. Change the handwriting keyboard interface for A5X and A6X, so UI optimization. added My Device as a setting option and moved About Bluetooth and Direct Transfer into it. And that was actually an okay one. The only one that I remember not being too kind of keen about is that Bluetooth is a wireless communication protocol and they moved it from wireless, and now that's kind of strange. I do get that, but normally when you're looking for Bluetooth, you want to go for wireless communication. That's where your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is, because that's what it actually is. So that's the one of the unintuitive things that they've done in this update. And in Notes in left-handed mode, the horizontal floating bar will be expanded and shortened to the right by default, which is also a good fix. And then various lists of optimizations, synchronization optimizations for the efficiency. This was an excellent addition, because when they started adding the display details of the sync progress, internet speed, uploaded, downloaded size and everything, there's no more guessing or anything like that. You know exactly what's going on while you're synchronizing your data, and that's something that I really do like. It actually just gives me a much better overview and sense of comfort, and the speed has been improved quite dramatically. So of course it displays which files are unable to sync and why. Excellent for troubleshooting, and displays more accurate and detailed reasons for sync failures. So all of this is just like a really excellent way to allow users to have a better overview of what is going on, as opposed to not synchronized, no indication if the file is synchronized or not, as we have on other platforms, etc. Not the case here. So that's a really nice thing. Then in the notebooks, we had the optimizations for template applications. PNG and PDF files that are in my style subfolder can now be applied as templates. Well, that's the part that we had already. Templates are now searchable under Customization tab, which is really nice. Multiple templates page can be replaced with new ones at once, which is also really cool, because you don't have to do it one by one. You can just go to the page overview, select your pages, and change the templates on the selected pages that you want. Then they have added the permanent certificate for handwriting recognition, and that's really cool as well, because it resolves the issue where handwriting recognition can only be used after the device is connected to Wi-Fi to activate it. So that means that in theory, I wasn't able to actually test this, but that means that you should be able to have a Supernote as an always offline device, never connected to Wi-Fi, and still have handwriting recognition in real-time recognition notebooks and across the system. So the only thing that kind of keeps me thinking is I haven't really examined that, but I don't know if Supernote or Ratta, if Ratta offers the option to download the firmware for the device and to actually just, transfer the firmware directly to the device, so that you can actually have a Supernote device that has never been online, a never online device, right? Because that would be a very cool thing to actually have, because the infrastructure is there. So if they don't have that as a service, I think that that's something that they should consider. Back on the optimizations, Mail has changed time formats on Mailbox to list page and message page to be consistent, and for screencasting or screen mirroring, when rotating the mirror page in the browser, it can now fit the screens of devices of different sizes, which is cool. And then a bunch of fixes as well. Then we fast forward to 2.10 in 2.10.25, which was launched in September, and the list is ridiculously long, which was a huge update, and let's just go through it as quickly as I can. So in the notebooks, you supports editing headings or titles and links one at a time. You can copy, move, cut, cancel, zoom in and out of headings and titles. You can change the heading style, you can change the link title, style and target, and you can have headings and links recognized as keywords or calendar events titles, and not one or the other. It can be all those things at once. Supports moving, copying single or multiple pages across different notebooks via pages, originally named overview. When inserting or editing a link, you can create a new note through the other files entry point. Added the region eraser to real-time recognition notes. The eraser gesture now activates the eraser, blah, 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 blah. Added the ability to highlight text in PDFs, and that actually sounds simple, but there's like a whole new brush that's basically a highlighter, and it changes the highlighting and annotation type of approach and makes it a lot easier and simpler and more reliable than it actually was. When reading PDF, EPUB, CBZ and XPS documents, you can turn pages using Bluetooth, which is cool. Global search supports searching for real-time recognition notes and supports switching between file, keyword, star and handwriting for more precise results based on the categorization. Supports WEBP image format, so those can be now used as screensavers, note covers, templates, email feedback, attachments, and linked to files. And in settings and keyboards, added virtual Hebrew keyboard and virtual Arabic keyboard, including Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Size is no longer limited to 1872 by 1404 pixels when using PNG images as templates, and supports using 3 more image formats such as JPEG, JPG, JPEG, and WEBP. With copied cut content stored on the virtual keyboard, you can only clear it by tapping the clear clipboard button rather than relassoing handwritten text. Again, with the lasso, how you can exit with it, not with the tap but actually with the pen itself. Updated the marker icon on the note, document, mail and calendar apps. Pinch to zoom adjustments, you can now close the zoom window and make it reappear when you start zooming again. Instead of staying fixed at 50% per pinch, the zoom level is now proportional to the distance between 2 fingers, and when tapping the buttons in the zoom window, the zoom level increases or decreases by 10. And these are all good things, but they are missing one key thing, which is I still think that they should implement the faster screen refresh mode when in pinch to zoom mode, or when in dragging to slide the navigation of a document or anything like that, because right now, yes, these are true, but the interaction and the device and the update of the screen is extremely slow. Instead of having to draw one after another, you can draw them without making any other order distinction. I've tested this, and you can see, you'll see little pop-ups here for each of the updates. I have a video for each of these updates. This one was not that reliable. I couldn't really make it work that reliably, and the highlighter was just better. Adjusted the 3 small fonts in display settings, making them smaller than they are now. When viewed in the calendar, notes will be displayed based on their creation date. Long pressing the Wi-Fi icon will now take you directly to the Wi-Fi settings screen. Great, that's usually a pet peeve of mine. You can now review release notes for the latest system update by going to System Settings, System Version, which was a great help for me when creating these videos. Change the current low battery prompt behavior. It will now only appear when the battery level is at 20%, 10%, and every time it goes down 1% after reaching the 5% level respectively. And Lamy Pen side button is configured as a lasso or region eraser. Triggering it will activate the designated action that remains effective even after the button is released. And this does not apply only to the Lamy Lamy pen. It applies to any EMR pen that has a side button. Just something to kind of keep in mind. And then there's like a bunch of optimizations, keyword optimizations, because you can now add keywords directly by navigating to the toolbar, reuse recently used keywords, you can switch between 2 sort methods, alphabetical and keywords, page number or the alphabetical, word optimizations, switching between original view and reflow view, optimize switching between handwriting mode and keyboard mode. When in handwriting mode, handwriting recognition will be triggered by tapping and corresponding button rather than double tapping, blah blah blah. And there's like a huge amount here, so I'm just gonna leave it here because it's gonna add into like a huge thing. And also, if you're interested in all of this is kind of covered, and on top of that you have a bunch of fixes as well. So a huge update list with the 2.10. And then, as I've covered in this video earlier, we have the 2.11. So the highlighting colors in PDFs, they've removed green, pink, and blue and only kept the yellow. With the highlighter text selection tool selected, you can now edit highlights, open links, and digest by tapping them with the pen. Optimize the display and switching of numerical keys on the Arabic virtual keyboards, and optimize the display of individual folders, names under other folders. And then we also have the upcoming 2.12, which is still in beta. I don't know exactly when it's going to roll out, as I've already talked about, and just a short summary. So they added a whole new drawing app called Atelier that can be downloaded from the Supernote App Store, supports auto-sync with Supernote Cloud, and supports landscape mode. Currently only applies to notes and documents, and the adjustments are single tapping the page number now activates the and I'm not going to go through all of this because we've already went through this at the beginning of the video. Well, the list of improvements is actually exhaustive on the Supernote, and what I find genuinely impressive is that the platform didn't get to be bloated or more complicated to use despite so much going into it. On the contrary, it's simply being improved with each iteration, and Ratta's team basically shows and leads by example how this type of work should be done, in my honest opinion. So each new functionality, improvement, or a change makes sense and feels like a part of a cohesive UI system. So this is what a good user experience or UX looks like. And when I criticized books for the lack of UX uniformity and unintuitiveness, this is exactly what I meant. So this, here, this one is a direct example of how a complex and advanced set of systems can actually be implemented into an existing system, but in a logical and intuitive way. So yes, of course, there is a learning curve to the Supernote platform, like there is on any other platform, but unlike the Books OS, here's the key difference. The skills that you once learn with the Supernote, they stay with you and they apply across the platform, which means that once you learn the UI logic behind the Supernote OS, you can intuitively learn and figure out new functionalities for the most part. I find it genuinely difficult to find what to criticize Ratta for as far as software development is concerned, because they have a transparent roadmap available well ahead of time, and users can always know what is on the horizon. And then that way the users know what they can plan on, hope for, etc. And that is not the case with pretty much any of the other competitors. So the only thing that I can kind of focus on is things that I would like to see improved, and definitely there are improvements that we can check out. So I really like the Smart Scribe functionality that was introduced on the Books OS 3.5, especially the scribbling out of the words for deleting them or underlining the text for annotation, etc. To me, that felt so natural, and it's so simple to use, and it's a functionality that I would really love to see on the Supernote sometime in the future. I would also love it if at some point they would be able to implement a form of exporting a project, meaning the ability to export, for example, if you have a notebook that links to other notebooks, documents, files, or anything like that, so you have this kind of complicated hierarchy of dependencies and interlinkages. So if the platform was able to export a project which would export all of the linked and associated notebooks and documents and files in one package that can easily be used on a computer with working links. That's the whole point. So this is definitely possible. For example, if the depending folder hierarchy is maintained in the export, right? And the hyperlinks are converted to use relative paths instead of the absolute paths. That way, that can definitely work. However, I know that this is a pretty big thing to actually implement, and I'm not sure that too many people are keen or even asking for it. So I'm not going to be holding my breath for that one. but that, in my opinion, would be yet another step in the direction of solidifying the Supernote as a very serious work device that is capable of things that other platforms can basically only dream of, while still remaining a distraction-free and relatively simple to and intuitive to use tool. Hardware-wise, this year Ratta is finally releasing a new device after about 3 years, I believe. So this is the third year, and it's the A6X2. It is still in the pre-order phase, and I am supposed to receive the review loan device unit this week. Hopefully, it's been sent, so it's arriving, but you know, the Christmas and New Year season, so the post and everything, it's going to be delayed, so we'll see when that arrives. What I don't know is that if the shipping of the pre-sale units will commence in December 2023, what's remained of December and the 2023, or at the start of 2024. We'll see. The A6X2 as a device, it's an update to their already existing A6X. It has the new Feel-Right 2 screen protector surface, which is more paper-like, and incidentally that Feel-Right 2 started to come as a standard on newly produced and shipped A5X and A6X models this year as well, from a certain serial number and onwards. The new system on chip, or SoC, with improved specifications also comes on a device, and the big deal is the replaceable battery and the motherboard that's replaceable. So the whole new approach for easy maintenance and repair of the device, which is definitely a fantastic thing to see and a fantastic approach to see, because it speaks of the longevity of the device, because you know, in 4 years, if your battery weakens, well, you can just replace it, and that's that. We also can see on the A6X2 addition of another swipe stripe, so now we have swipe stripes on the both sides, and a new cover mounting design, which seems to be magnetic. I'll have to see how it compares, the A6X2, how it compares to the original. But it is most definitely an exciting thing to see a continuation of an already excellent product. I'm not really sure that I'm a fan of losing the mechanical stripe holding the cover. I really like that approach on the original design, but let's see how the magnets have been implemented, because it's not just a simple flat line, there's like some indentations and everything, so there is a possibility that maybe Ratta was actually thinking about this and trying to make it, I don't know, really good. So we will see. So overall, that's the summary of what's been new in 2023 regarding the Ratta and their Supernote line of devices. Now, what are the things that are problematic and remain problematic and could definitely see improvement in 2024? Well, here are some of the things that I think would definitely need addressing. So first of all, smart display refresh switching to A2 mode would definitely improve the overall impression and speed of the system and navigation functions. Generally speaking, A5X and A6X, they can and definitely seem like a little bit more sluggish devices in certain operations. Writing is ridiculously fast and some functions are ridiculously fast, but because this system doesn't really have any refresh mode switching, the bottleneck is always the speed, the refresh speed of the screen. And that is, for example, in the pinch to zoom or sliding the page up and down, that can be a hindrance, and definitely it's not just looking like a slow device, it is slow because it doesn't really show you these things in a fast manner. So these operations, as they are now, are quite slow, and this would be a very welcome improvement to see. Additionally, as a typewriter, it is still quite a limited platform and quite slow. The same thing applies here as well. Maybe in the typewriting mode, like in a Word document or something, it would be able to use the A2 refresh mode, making it seem and be a lot more responsive and immediate than it is now. Now when you actually type, you know, it's lagging behind. You wait for it to finish typing all of the stuff that you've already typed. that's not a good thing. The other stuff is from a logistical nature and logistical point of view. Devices can be purchased from only a handful of stores. And in Europe, for example, the additional tax and shipping costs are really extensive, making the whole package being a very, very expensive affair. Difficulties and associated costs for returning the product, in the case of a regular return, for example, or a return for the repair, that's also a thing that definitely is a problem right now. So I think that if Ratta is able to improve on these issues, the software ones, the speed implementation, and especially the logistical side of things, and maybe make the pricing to be a bit more on the cheaper side of things in total, right? I believe that they would be able to see an even bigger influx of people daring to try it and see for themselves what it is that actually makes the Supernote as a platform, in my opinion, and opinion of pretty much a lot of people who've tried this, it makes it stand out as a platform on its own among the competition, as far as note-taking goes primarily. So that's where we are with Ratta and the Supernote lineup of devices now at the end of 2023. I think that it will be very exciting to see how the X2 line of upcoming devices will be, as we can also expect to see the A5X2 and the A5X Slim coming out in 2024. Personally, I am really looking forward to the announced A4X, but we don't really have any concrete predictions on that one. That one's just been delayed, and I know that it's not in pre-production or production or anything like that, so that one we'll have to wait for it, and maybe it will happen in 2024. But yeah, we'll have to just wait and see what happens with the A4X. So that's my overview of the Supernote as a platform in 2023 and what I think can be improved or can be taken care of in 2024, and what are the things that I would like to see and what I'm hoping to see and what I'm excited about in 2024. Please do let me know in the comments down below what your impression is, what your experience is with Supernote, with Ratta, with all of these things, and how do you think it actually ranks between the other devices that we have or other major competitors such as Remarkable, Books devices, Kindle Scribe, etc. As always, it's really, really useful and informative to kind of share other people's experiences, other people's perspectives on these matters, and it helps everyone, including me, to learn and expand my own perspectives about these devices and these platforms. That's it from me. I hope that you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Check out the mydeepguide.com/shop for MDG and MMP, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay peaceful, and see you in the next video. Bye.